be unbelievable. They'll do a great job. They'll get much better health care at a much lower cost.
Would you like Republicans next year to just use reconciliation to do with health care exactly what you laid out, and they wouldn't have to worry about Democratic votes?
Well, that or knock out the filibuster. If you knocked out the filibuster, it would all go away. But we have a few people that wouldn't do that. It's crazy. Look, we should knock out the filibuster. And if you did that, we'd get voter ID. You'd have no mail-in voting, all things that make our elections dishonest. And you'd get a lot of other things having not even to do with voting. But Republicans should knock out the filibuster, and we should approve a lot of things. You wouldn't have January 30th looming because, you know, you have the 30th of January looming. You know that, right? And if we knocked out the filibuster, it would be just a simple approval. But you have some Republicans that they're unable to explain why. You know, if you ask them why, they're unable to explain it. They cannot win the debate. But they should knock out the filibuster. And frankly, they should get rid of the blue slips, too. Yeah.
Mr. President, the Democrats won Miami, where you won the election 1 year ago. Do you think it's because of the Hispanic media like Telemundo that are publishing fake news about the ICE operations? How do you plan to win back those votes for midterms?
Yeah, well, I won that whole election. And, you know, it's interesting. When I'm not running, we don't do as well. And I'm going to try and get that changed for the midterms. But we did have a big win in Tennessee, as you know. Matt Van Epps had a big win in Tennessee against a very strong candidate, attractive candidate, who a lot of people thought would do very well. And Matt won by a lot. And I won Tennessee by a real lot. You know, we had a great election. We won every single swing state. We won the popular vote. We won everything. And there's a thing that they have now, districts, which is a big deal. I think in a way it's the most important stat from the standpoint of, you know, looking at numbers accurately. So out of thousands of districts, I won 2,750 versus 525. Think of that, 2,750 versus 525. It was great. That's why the map, when you see a map of the election, it's all red, other than two little narrow lines on the other side. Please.
Sir, Jimmy Lai was convicted today in Hong Kong. Do you have any reactions?
I feel so badly. I spoke to President Xi about it, and I asked to consider his release. He's not well. He's an older man, and he's not well, so I did put that request out. We'll see what happens. Okay? Yeah, please, Katie.
A question about Ukraine. Now that the meetings in Berlin have wrapped up with Zelensky, is there a timetable for going to Moscow? Is a delegation going?
Well, I think that the delegation is largely there right now, actually. They're in Europe, and they met with those people that I called out before, the various countries, plus some others. They want to see it end, Katie. They want to see it end. They all. I want to see it end. They want to see it end. I actually think that President Putin wants to see it end. You know, I've had good talks. We've had good talks with Russia, and I think they'd like to get back to a more normal way of life.
Mr. President, follow up there. An Article 5-like deal seems to be emerging without NATO membership for Ukraine. If such a security guarantee is offered, what incentive is there for Ukraine to give up any sort of territory?
Well, look, you have, well, they've already lost the territory, you know, to be honest. I mean, the territory is lost. But in terms of security guarantee, we're working with Europe on it. Europe would be a big part of that. And we're working on the security guarantee so the war doesn't start up again. We don't want to have a war start up again. You know, as I said, with Thailand and Cambodia, two people I get along with great. And I dealt with them, and I called them, and I said, look, fellas, you got to relax. You got to take it easy. They lost. You know, they started the war again, and I got it ended. And things like that are going to happen, war. There's nothing pretty about war, nothing good, and there's nothing you can do to predict what's going to happen. But I think we've made a lot of progress with respect to Russia and Ukraine, I hope. You know, last month, it was close to 27,000 soldiers were killed, mostly soldiers, but 27,000 people, but mostly soldiers were killed last month in Russia versus Ukraine.
Is there a time limit on security guarantees?
Well, there's no time limit. The time limit is whenever we get it done. I mean, we're going to try to get it done. We're making progress. It's more difficult than anybody could have thought. I would have said that half of the wars that I got settled, some were going for over 30 years, that half of them should have been more difficult, and they actually haven't been. There's a lot of dislike between the two leaders, you know that, and so it probably makes it a little bit tough.
Have you recently spoken directly to Putin? Have you recently spoken directly to Putin?
Yeah, I have.
On Syria, Mr. President, on the U.S. troops killed in Syria over the weekend, why do we have troops in Syria?
Because we're trying to make sure that there's going to be and remain peace in the Middle East, and Syria is a big part of it. The new leader is a strong person, and that's what you need. This is a rough part of the world, and it's been amazing what's taken place in Syria. We got rid of Assad. We got rid of other people that were really bad people and that were in the way of peace in the Middle East. You know, we have legitimate peace in the Middle East, first time in 3,000 years, and we have 59 countries backing it. And we'll see what happens with Hamas. We'll see what happens with Hezbollah. But regardless, I mean, we have countries that want to go in and clean that out if we want them to do it. But they said, in the case of Hamas, they said that they're going to disarm, and we're going to find out whether or not that's true. Hezbollah in Lebanon has been a problem. We'll see what happens there. But there is legitimate, large-scale peace in the Middle East. And if there weren't, we wouldn't have been able to make all of those deals that we've made with the various countries. They would have never been able to do that. If, for instance, if we didn't, with that B-2 bomber right there on the desk, if we didn't, of which we just ordered a lot more of the newer version, totally stealth. They could not see it. They knew it was coming. They had no idea where it was. It was pretty amazing, actually. Every bomb hit its mark perfectly, despite CNN trying to say differently. They didn't know. They just, hoped. They hoped that we didn't, but it turned out that they did. Atomic Energy Commission confirmed it. So did Iran confirm it. They got knocked to hell. But if we didn't knock out their nuclear capability, we would have never had peace in the Middle East, because you would have had a dark cloud hanging over Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and all the other countries, and they would have never, ever been able to sign an agreement. Yeah, please.
How soon do you expect that international stabilization force to be up and running in Gaza?
I think that it's, in a form, it's already running. In a very strong form, it's already running. But it'll get stronger and stronger, and more countries are coming into it. They're already in. But they'll send any number of troops that I ask them to send. They want to see peace. We have more than 59 countries. We have many countries that aren't even in the Middle East, but they're fairly close to the Middle East. They want to be involved. So it's been pretty amazing.
Mr. President, this week a man named Keone Rodriguez is going to federal prison for creating crypto privacy software. The case was started under the Biden administration, but your DOJ kept it going and secured the conviction. A lot of people in crypto are saying that this man should be pardoned. Are you familiar with the case at all, or would you be interested?
I've heard about it. I'll look at it. Why, you think he should be pardoned? Sounds like it. Sounds like, based on your question.
Many people in the
Rodriguez, we'll look at that, Pam. Okay, let's take a look at it. You'll have to tell me. I don't know anything about it, but we'll take a look.
On Friday,
Yeah, please.
Mr. President, market analysts are calling for a Sante rally. Typically, it's 5 trading days going into Christmas. In the first 2 trading days in January, that's a sign of market optimism. Do you anticipate, along with the historical low gas prices, that continuing into the first quarter?
Well, we've had the greatest stock market in history, Brian. We have a stock market that's gone up 52 times to new highs during a 10-month period, my 10 months. My first 10 months, we set a record. 52 days, we had the highest stock market in history, including a day ago. And I didn't look today. Maybe it's up today, I don't know. But we had 52 altogether, and there's never been anything like it. And the reason are the tariffs have brought vast amounts of wealth into our country that countries that have taken our car companies, those car companies are all coming back. The AI is coming at levels that nobody's ever seen before. That's going to be a massive industry. Without the tariffs, we wouldn't have that. Chips are coming in, chip companies are coming in from Taiwan and other places, but mostly from Taiwan, which has almost 100% of the market. And we're now making chips, and we're not paying anything. It's not the CHIPS Act where they give billions of dollars to companies and then they just take the money and they run. That was under Biden. The fact that I set tariffs up and that if they don't make their chips here, they have to pay a big tariff. In order to send them into the U.S., they have to be here. You know, tariffs really work, in my opinion, almost only in the United States. They've been used against us successfully because we had presidents that had no clue. But tariffs really work. We have taken in hundreds of billions of dollars with tariffs, and more importantly, we've taken in countries and companies where, and even countries have sent their car-making people into the United States in order to avoid paying tariffs. And they'll build a plant and they'll hire our people to make the cars. But we now have, as you know, Toyota just approved $10 billion in manufacturing plants in the United States using our people. Without tariffs, none of that would have happened. Tariffs have given us great national security. There's nothing like what's happened in the last 10 months. Tariffs have given us tremendous national security and tremendous wealth. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
C'était donc le propos du président de la République, M. Donald Trump, qui était rencontré ensemble avec la presse pour lui répondre à certaines questions et puis expliquer également activité administration là réalisée. Côté que aujourd'hui, il y a un ensemble de questions sécurité nationale, économie, relations États-Unis avec d'autres pays, États-Unis, Syrie, États-Unis, Liban, États-Unis, Ukraine, la Russie. Donc, autant de questions qui étaient posées, chef l'État, li effleuré, li ba réponse, li même li jugé approprié. Tant qu'on a qu'à Ukraine, la Russie, li déjà fait comprendre que Ukraine te perdu une quantité déjà, et li pas jamais croire que Ukrainiens sont capables de récupérer, li aussi fait comprendre que il y a travail pour que l'Europe a participé plus dans la question mise en place un programme de sécurité visé pays Ukraine face à la Russie de Vladimir Poutine qui lui-même tout t'a remis joindre la paix, je dis dans le cadre de bataille liée avec Ukraine. Chef l'État encore réaffirmé semaine dernière la guerre 27 000 citoyens, majorité là de ces soldats russes et ukrainiens qui perdu la vie dans le cadre de combat si là nous dit qui tantôt pral gagner 4 ans. Il également abordé questions concernant des organisations que les organisations terroristes ou Hamas ensemble avec le groupe Hezbollah. Eh bien chef d'État a dit quelle que soit la quantité de pays, soldats que l'État demandé pour aller batailler dans le Middle East pour créer la paix, eh bien, ils sont prêts pour faire ça parce que tu avais dit qu'il est censé gagner contrôle. Quand la présence Syrie et États-Unis dans la Syrie, il fait comprendre que c'est pour éviter ISIS libre pour un pied avec l'autre groupe terroriste encore. De autant de questions que chef l'État a abordé dans la rencontre là avec la presse. N'a pas aussi faut connaître que Wabouane ensemble avec Madame Nikki Mouri, ancien chef l'État américain Barack Obama, M. pas caché, consternation devant crime ça, devant Zach ça, qui produit dans la Californie. Cependant, dans mon parole là, il y a une petite Rainer, c'est monsieur qui est censé gagner dans le la justice comme moun qui t'a gagné trempé dans la morsi là et il pas même accepté belle pour monsieur qui donc 5 copes que pas capable quelle que soit quantité d'argent la justice ne pas recevoir dans la Californie parce que il était censé et voulu faire comprendre pointer doigt sous monsieur déjà c'est lui-même qui touillé papa ensemble avec moment là dans la Californie raison nous pas connaît exactement et autorité californienne aussi annoncé que il crasé un groupe terroriste il a arrêté 4 citoyens qui étaient préparés pour faire quelques complots organiser quelques crimes pendant activité fin d'année 2025 la piste radio et télévision, nous connaissons ça déjà. Information, c'est non-stop lié sur le réseau ça. Nous toujours prenons plaisir pour nous informer et même que nous prenons plaisir également pour nous camper live là parce que nous avons retourné pour nous porter musique pour nous avec tout ces là qui branchent Pistars un peu partout à travers la planète Terre. Donc, on a pu saluer eux. Il y a un paquet de monde qui branche les réseaux ça kounya là qui trop content vous comprenez qui trop content pour rester ensemble avec nous vous comprenez yo prend plaisir moun sa yo pour rester sur Pistars radio avec télévision et nous prenons plaisir pour nous saluer, vous comprenez, une quantité de monde, si là qui Haïti ou bien qui du côté Aruba, qui dans le pays de la France, qui du côté du Chili, qui au Canada ou bien dans le pays Brésil, il y a une quantité de citoyens haïtiens qui branchés et nous même gagnons deux amis Payol qui également a même de nous rejoindre du côté du Brésil. Ça nous fait grand plaisir pour dire buenas noches, comment está? Nous espérons que en pile monde encore qui rejoint nous sur les réseaux sociaux là, il y a continué venir et il y a aussi non seulement abonné à réseau, il a invité l'autre citoyen, l'autre amis pour capable faire partie également de la grande famille du réseau Pistas Radio et Télévision. Nous rappelons ça sur TikTok Pistas Radio TV et lettres minuscules, sur YouTube là c'est capital lettre ou bien lettres majuscules, Pistas Radio TV, Pistas Radio NTV pour être beaucoup plus clair, beaucoup plus exact, Pistas Radio NTV et ça c'est pour YouTube, mon YouTuber et puis pour amis Facebook, eh bien, c'est seulement P majuscule et puis R majuscule dans Pistas Radio TV, PSTARS espace Radio TV, d'accord? Donc, capital letter for P, capital letter for R, dès qu'il s'agit de Pistas Radio TV sur YouTube là. D'accord? Et puis, rététon, nous porter message pour nous porter information pour sous exemple, qui était longtemps en Twitter, nous là, vous connaissez, nous all over the place, pour que nous capables informer. Allez sur Google, tapez www.pistarsradiotv.com et puis sur Tandia, cliquez Listen to Pistars on Zino, nous ensemble avec vous également. Vous capable aussi mettez notre contact numéro favori et numéro ça, contact number, numéro favori ça, à savoir 631 359 85 le 35. 631 359 85 35, ça c'est numéro pour un dépistage 24 heures sur 24, n'importe où que vous retrouvez, depuis ou capable d'aller numéro ça sous téléphone, pas de aucun problème pour brancher pistage. Comment nous saluons Madame Céline comment nous saluons également la belle Maya qui pas Madame Constante Maya. Vous connaissez ça aussi, l'équipe m'a couturier. Vous comprenez ça là, les Maya, Constante Maya Paul. Oui, donc nous saluons Gavio, nous saluons. Les Féouis, comment nous y est. Et puis, nous aussi arrivés à Aruba pour nous dire, Madame Odilus, comment y est, ensemble avec toutes les familles. Et Yveline, Madame, comment y est, nous faisons virer en France pour nous saluer M. William, qui du côté de Paris, et puis à Marseille, nous avons salué Wilner, qui branchait là-bas, nous avons tout profité, saluer frère Wilner et Madame, comment nous sommes là. M. fait sortir dans le congé, M. fait sortir dans la vacances. Madame, nous pas de congé pour une belle vacances comme ça. C'est très bien ça. Donc, nous avons poursuivre avec Pistas Family Support. Madame, monsieur, sur réseau pour là, déjà 59 minutes après 10 heures, quelques 30 minutes qui nous restent pour la suite de votre émission Pistas.